I went for a picnic in the Delta with Martha Foose, the cookbook writer, and in a place called Pluto, Mississippi. And she showed me her father's house, which was for sale on 6 acres of gorgeous land with orchards and fruit trees and a big house. And I just decided to take the plunge and move in there. It was about 25 miles from the nearest supermarket and kind of out there in the cotton fields and the swamps. It's not every state in the union that allowed you to go to a notorious penitentiary, Parchman Farm, which was kind of a continuation of slavery by another means. Anyway, Martha's Aunt Carrie needed a yard man, so she sent her husband up to Parchman, where you were allowed to just pick out a prisoner and take him home and house him and feed him, but you didn't have to pay him. He was essentially a slave. They went up there and they got this guy that she called Henry, because she said she would never be able to remember his name, who was a murderer. And she built a cabin for him behind the house. And they kind of got into this driving Miss Daisy type relationship where they were devoted to each other, but they could never really admit it to each other. They would have dinner together every night, but Henry would sit facing away from her. And she would sit at the table. He'd be off in the pantry with his own knives and forks and plates. Because if they ate together, they'd be breaking the racial taboo about black and white eating together. So it was a kind of story that got into the kind of mad, twisted racial complexities of Mississippi. I mean, I just think there's a deep cultural conservatism at work in the black community and the white community. I think there's also a kind of deep stubborn streak. Things change, but very slowly, except when you get to agriculture. I mean, it's like a showcase for modern industrial agriculture. It's got the latest machines and chemicals and lines of credit, and the cotton grown in the Delta mostly goes to China. Everyone's kind of wired into international markets, so it's very modern in that way, but socially very slow to change. Yeah, I think it's something we often do in our own families. Say if there's a family member that you disagree strongly with their political views, you set that in one compartment and put it to the side, and this person is also a father and a husband, and those views you disagree with are just one facet, and you kind of look past that to see the larger person. And I found myself doing that often in Mississippi because it's a very right-wing place, and I'm not a very right-wing person. Not that I'm a very left-wing person either, but I think it's useful not to mistake the person for their political views.